All right, Rob, let's get to it. A lot of people in sports, some may not know what's going on, but certainly a lot of people have seen the back and forth between Megan Rapinoe, the great soccer player, female soccer player for the United States women's team, and Draymond Green in talking about women's pay. Now, the United States women's national team sued the United States Soccer Federation in 2019, I believe it was, because they're not getting equal pay to the men. And, they've been making a lot of noise about it, a stink about it. And Draymond came out and Rob G, correct me if I get into this wrong. Not stop complaining, but, just complaining is not enough. I'm paraphrasing. You got to come up with a plan to get more money. Because he said it all boils down to the revenue. That's what the owners or the presidents or whoever's running the organization, they're always going to say it's based on revenue. So you have to come up with a plan to up your revenue. And what he said was the NBA wasn't always the league it is. They became this league by telling the stories and, all these great stories and making their players better known. And that's what you have to do. Who's telling your stories? That's essentially what he was saying. Who's telling the great stories about Sue Bird and Brittany Griner and so on and so forth? And Megan Rapinoe came out and was very critical of him. She said that he showed his whole ass. That's what she said. She said, you don't know what you're talking about. You could know. I'm paraphrasing her too. You could know because you could reach out to any of us or any of these women's basketball players and find out. Rapinoe basically saying we're doing stuff. It's not on us. We need the people that say they support women in their quest to get equal and fair pay to support the sport, whether that's attending more games, promoting the game, getting more, it's better television coverage and so on and so forth. And so they've gone back and forth on that. And it's an interesting situation. Rob, I think you got some comments on this, and I certainly do. But what do you think is about this?
I agree with her in that, first of all, Draymond, this is like, why are you in this fight? Why are you even sticking your nose in this if you're not going to just support them?
And he was trying to be supportive, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the way it came across.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
they admitted that too, that we know he's an ally, but
the way it came out, that's not
right.
the way you want to do it. And if he would have just said support to the to women's sports or whatever it is, what I mean?
You can say that in private to him, right? If you really got a plan, just say it in private.
Yeah. There you go, Chris. Everything doesn't have to be blast publicly, okay?
Right.
You can still pick up the phone.
It looked like you were chastising him.
Right. That's what it came across as, and I don't blame them for not being happy with that. So I think women have been underappreciated and underpaid in certain circumstances. Not all, because it is about revenue, and you get paid. The more money you can generate, the more money you should have access to. And I mean everybody. I don't care what company it is, Chris, what business. You're selling hot dogs. Right. The more money you make, the more that people should have.
You know this, Rob. The argument can't be we work just as hard. We know you do, but you know what? We work just as hard as Colin Cowherd, Rob.
Right, but we don't make his numbers and we don't make his money. Exactly. So we know that.
It is what it is.
Right. And that's part of the equation. But I'm going to take it one step further when we talk about this, and I'm just going to say, the one thing I'm most disappointed in when we talk about women's sports, why women's sports aren't covered the same, why they don't get the same access to television and big games and all that kind of stuff, is, Chris, women won't support the women's leagues. There are more women than men. If women, I'm telling you, you know this, Chris, you're in the newspaper business. If the WNBA games were packed right at Madison Square Garden for the Liberty, they would have a beat writer who travels with the team. If when their games were on television, they got a equivalent or close to TV rating as a Knicks or Nets game, the advertisers would flock to it. People would go There's a big WNBA game on.
Yep.
But the numbers are minuscule. And I'm going to say this.
I agree with you, Rob.
You can't blame the men, right, for not being behind this when the women won't. And I don't know what it is. I'm not here to bash women's sports, but I would love to hear from women too out there. Women don't support women's sports. Chris, when I've been married for a long time. I never had a woman say to me, "Hey, would you like to go to a WNBA game on a Friday night or take me out?" You know what I mean? Like invite me to a WNBA
have you had a woman
game.
ask you out?
Yeah, that's another question. It's been a long time.
Let's keep it fair.
Yeah, that's true. But you see my point, though.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Exactly.
Is that going on? That's what guys do. We want to go out on a date, Chris. Hey, you want to go to the Lakers game? You want to go to the Clippers game? Right?
Right.
Do women do that? Tell their boyfriends or their husbands, I got tickets, for the Sparks. Let's go to the Sparks game on Saturday night. This is what I'm just saying, is that the support, if women don't support it, how can you be mad at men for not supporting it? That's my only knock I'm going to say. Do women, if they generate the money, they deserve equal, fair pay, whatever, Chris. I'm all for that. But to cry about why they don't get the same attention is based on the numbers. The numbers aren't there.
I totally agree. Let me say to Megan Rapinoe, from what I've read, now I know that the United States Soccer Federation and the United States Women's National Team, they can't agree on whether the women or the men generate more money. But I've seen numbers that over the last few years, the women's national team has generated more money for the United States Soccer Federation than the men's team. If that's the case, then the women should not be getting equal to the men. They should be getting more than the men. As we said, right, it's based on revenue. All right? So I'm totally with women. Like, even if you said it was like the NBA players get roughly 50% of the league revenue that's generated. WNBA players should get that. Soccer women should get the same split as the men get.
Yep.
Whatever the case. So, but to your point, Rob, it's going to be based on revenue, period. Don't tell me the WNBA women should make as much money as the NBA players when you're not generating a fraction of the money that they're making.
Right. There's got to be some revenue that's coming out that's going back. That's basic economics.
And also, Rob, and you know this too, it is not, if the newspaper covered the WNBA as much as the NBA, it would be as popular. Right. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
And but my point, Chris, about the attendance and the TV numbers. Right.
Right. The TV.
They have to have that.
Games are on TV.
Right.
The NCAA women's tournament was on TV. It didn't generate the same numbers. And that, look, it is what it is. Now, you said it right, Rob. Women, I don't know. I don't know if they're more into men's sports. I think so. I don't know the numbers.
Right.
Though. But you're right. They aren't going to the WNBA games or any of these women's sports games and packing them out. If they do, and then they start generating more money, then you can get the same money as the men's sport that generates more revenue.
Right.
It's really as simple as that.
Right. The push should be, Chris, that moms and women and girlfriends make a night out, that they go to these games, right? Right. And that's what you're going to, that's how you increase TV ratings, interest, why newspapers and internet and all these other places are covering this, and why it becomes important. But you have to have the fan support. Otherwise, and it's, you know what, Chris? It's no different than those football leagues they started in the spring. What happened?
They
Guys it wasn't automatic. Right. It wasn't automatic. And you know what happened? Even the XFL with McMahon behind it and all that, Chris, and the networks, guess what? They flopped and they went off the air because people don't want it. They want NFL football.
Those were male football players, and they didn't get a dime. Because you got to generate revenue, period. And I'll say this, right? Look, for whatever reason, I mean, male models, there are certain things more associated, like male models don't make the same money as female models.
Right. Nope.
They don't. They don't make close to it. And so there are, it's in some situations, obviously, we need to make sure women get equal pay in more instances than not, because that's a rarity that you have a field where males don't get what the women get, but they don't. And so it's all about revenue. Male models aren't as famous as female models. Just like in most cases, women's athletes, it's a rarity that a female athlete becomes like a cultural national icon. Some do, Serena. There have been others, but it's rare. It's much more rare than the male athlete in America. And so these are the things that go into the different pay scales. So who's to blame for women's sports not generating the same revenue in most cases as men's sports?
All right, let's kick it off with let's start with Sean in Sacramento. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Sean?
My uncle's from another mother, man. My brother's behind the boards. How y'all feeling this Friday?
We good, bro. How are you?
Great.
I'm doing amazing. Hey, yo, rest in peace to Dogman X, man. Only hip-hop artist to ever have 2 #1 albums in the same year, man. Shout out to the big man. Rest in peace, yo.
He was a workhorse, boy. That's for sure.
Man, rough life, man. But, hey, he did a lot in his lifetime. So, hey, much love and much respect. God bless to him. But my take on this real quick, man, is I don't think we could blame the women 100%. Now, granted, they're not attending the games. They're not watching it on TV. But, look, they got to invest into these women's sports. They got to put more promotion out there. They got to start doing things to make people interested. Look, when y'all first got on the radio, Fox was doing y'all doing a lot of promo, having a lot of drops. I was getting hyped up for the Odd Couple. But when I talk about women's sports, I didn't see not one Final Four commercial for women's basketball. I don't see any kind of WNBA promo going on during the summer months. I really come across it on accident trying to find men's sports. So
yeah,
to me, you got to put some of this on the corporations too.
Yeah, but
do you think that's going to make you watch it? I mean, honestly, the sports that get commercials like that are sports people are watching.
But Sean, let me say, Chris, you can stop me if I'm incorrect on this. This is what I was told by people in the know, that advertisers who advertise with the NBA were almost forced, Chris, to also do the WNBA. Like if you wanted a piece of the NBA, you had to allocate some money towards the WNBA stuff. Like so the NBA did.
Yeah,
go
the
out
NBA
of their
has
way.
been very supportive.
Do you know what I mean?
WNBA.
Despite the bottom line, I'm going to tell you this: the Detroit Shock, Chris, they couldn't sell any tickets. The owner, the late owner, Bill Davison, wanted to get rid of the Shock a long time prior, and David Stern said, "Please do not. We don't want to move them out of Detroit." Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Can you hang on? Because there was no revenue coming in. I'm being honest.
You're right, Rob. And I remember seeing the commercials where NBA players have talked about their love for the WNBA.
Chauncey Billups had daughters, and they used to have
they have promoted it. So I look, people are going to watch what they want to watch, and if it's not being promoted to the degree that some other sports are, if you really want to watch it, they're going to check it out.
Hey, let's get Carlton in real quick in Pennsylvania. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Carlton?
First time, long time, fellas. How you guys doing?
What's happening?
Good,
Thank
man.
you.
How are you?
Good, not bad. Listen, I'm in sales, and I've been in sales for over 25 years, and you're only going to get paid as much as you're bringing in. I mean,
Right.
If you're not bringing in any money, any revenue, then you're not going to get paid the percentage that you really want to. I'm always an advocate for equal rights for everybody. You know,
Sure.
if a woman's generating more money, then God bless her and do their thing. But
She can make more money.
Draymond Green was absolutely right. Now, whether you want to accept it or not, he's absolutely right. I mean, you have to find a way to generate more income for your leagues, so therefore it gets more television viewers, gets more people in the stands, that type of thing. That's the only thing that generates more money.
But see, my thing, though, is, Carlton, they need to make the plea to the women and ingrain this, that this is date night, going to a WNBA game or going to women's soccer or whatever it may be. But until women start going, you know what I mean?
I do. Rob, I definitely understand that, but that's going to take a generation. I mean, these things just don't happen overnight.
Let's not look. It's very possible they just never gonna catch men in attendance and viewership.
But you got to do better than they've been doing. The WNBA's been around, Chris, for what, 15 or 20 years? How long has it been around?
No,
since Stern was
commissioner. A long time, and the NBA has stuck by it. They've really supported it.
They could have pulled the plug a long time ago, to be honest.
Right. So it is what it is. And it just like the caller said, Rob, it's based on revenue. So